Original Switch or Nintendo Switch Lite? I'm going to tell you why the Nintendo Switch Lite is my favourite console and why I think you should get one of these over the original Switch. But before we get into it, smash that thumbs up button, smash the like button and subscribe for more cool videos. Let's get into the video, guys. So the original Switch came out back in 2017. Can you believe it's been 3 years already and has sold over 53 million units? That's more than the Xbox One. Now, when it came out, Nintendo touted the ability to play console quality games on the go like Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart, Skyrim and more, and we've seen a lot more since. Now, we were able to plug it into the dock and play it on TV like a regular console, like the Wii U, and then detach the Joy-Cons to use as extra controllers, hand them to friends, or even put it in a little controller grip and use it as a regular controller. And when we wanted to take all our games with us on the go, just slide the Switch out, slide the Joy-Cons back on, and shove it in your backpack, and you were good to go. Now, I absolutely love the Nintendo Switch. I think it's the most innovative console that we've seen in a long time, and it pairs two of my favourite things: console games and portability. And for someone like me that travels a lot, being able to take all my favourite games with me on the go, it means a lot. It's a big deal. It's no longer a choice of whether you want console games where you have to be sitting down at the TV, or do you want smaller, more handheld games like the DS or Game Boy. The Nintendo Switch gives you the best of both worlds, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I think that's one of the big reasons the PlayStation Vita never really took off, is because you just couldn't plug it into the TV and play console games on the TV. And a lot of the games that came out on the PS Vita were not real console quality games like Skyrim or anything. They were watered down, more portable games, and I think a lot of people didn't like that. Now, I love the original Switch, don't get me wrong. I've did a lot of videos on this over the years, and I've did a bunch of videos on accessories and cool stuff you could buy for this. Go check them out on my channel if you want to see them. But there's always been a few little things that have annoyed me about it. For example, the D-pad. It doesn't have a real D-pad. Instead of a D-pad, it's just got 4 normal buttons. I actually had to get this little accessory that I stuck onto the buttons to make it feel like a D-pad. And even that is just a band-aid on a bigger problem, really. But yeah, it doesn't have a real D-pad, which sucks for platformer games. Another thing I didn't like was the constant wiggle of the Joy-Cons as I held the Nintendo Switch. And they moved around a lot when I was holding it, and occasionally after a while the Joy-Cons started sliding off, and it also almost caused me to drop the Nintendo Switch. I mentioned this in a previous video. If you want to go see that, go check it out. Now, despite its shortcomings, it's a really good console, and I do like the ability to plug it into a dock and play it on the TV. But despite that, I did play this thing in handheld mode 99% of the time. Now, last year, Nintendo announced and released a new model of the Nintendo Switch, and we were all kind of expecting there to be a new Nintendo Switch Pro. But it wasn't the Pro, it was the Nintendo Switch Lite, and my first question was, why does this thing exist? It couldn't dock, it didn't have the 3D rumble features, and honestly, I wasn't blown away by the look of it or the colour schemes that they had. Despite that though, there's a few things that I did like. I loved the fact that it had a real D-pad, and the fact that it was a lot smaller and more solid feeling, eliminating that wiggle problem of the Joy-Cons and the Joy-Cons slipping off like the original one had. And also, when the Zacian and Zamazenta edition Pokemon Switch Lite came out, I was really intrigued. First, because I love Pokemon. I've been playing Pokemon since the 90s. I grew up playing Pokemon on the Game Boy, the Game Boy Advance, the DS, and the coloured sticks and buttons were really cool. I like the contrast between the red and the blue, and the grey reminded me of the original Game Boy and the Super Nintendo, so I really liked that. It sort of felt like an old retro Nintendo console, which I loved. And after a lot of thinking, I reluctantly decided to buy one of these to review it and just to try it out. And I was expecting to return this after a couple of days. Instead, guys, I fell in love with this thing. I really fell in love with it. I love the size of it so much. I ended up getting a little bit obsessed, actually, and I bought like 5 of these because my first one had an issue with the screen where it looked really green, and it really bugged me. So I ended up buying like 5 of them, comparing the screens, choosing the best one, and then returning the rest of them. 6 months later though, I'm still loving the Switch Lite. I'm really loving the Switch Lite. The original Switch hasn't seen the light of day until this video, quite honestly. I've not played this since I bought this one. Now, the lack of docking and 3D rumble on the Switch Lite hasn't been that much of an issue, as I play the Nintendo Switch in portable mode 99% of the time. The convenient size and how solid this is, and how light it is and easy to bring around with you, it more than makes up for the lack of docking it and 3D rumble. Now, let me list a few of the things that I love about the Switch Lite. I love its portability and its size. It may not look it in photos, but this thing actually feels a lot smaller and a lot lighter than the original Switch. Now, this lends itself to being a more portable console and more pocketable, and I actually find myself picking my Switch Lite up and taking it around the house, taking it out and about a lot more than I ever did with the original Switch, which stayed in the dock most of the time. I also love how solid and durable the Switch Lite is. I already mentioned this, but I love how the console is just one solid piece. It feels really durable or rugged. It feels like I could drop it and it would still be just fine. I've not did a drop test on it yet. I'm not planning on it, but I feel like it could survive it. And I also don't have to worry about the Joy-Cons wobbling all the time and slipping off. I think the Switch Lite feels like it's going to last a long time, and I just love it. Also, having the D-pad back again, it seems like a small thing, but it makes a huge difference on platformer games, side-scrolling games like Guacamelee, Super Mario Brothers. It just makes a big difference, and you actually miss having it when you go back and play the original Switch. Now, another big thing that I think is a big draw that people don't talk about that much is the price difference. Now, this thing's a lot cheaper than the original Switch. You can get it for $199. I think it goes on sale a lot of places for $179.99. In fact, I think $179.99 is its like default price now. I've seen it go as low as $130 in some places, so it's a lot cheaper in a lot of cases, and you could pick it up on sale for really cheap. So it's a lot cheaper. I think that's a bonus. Now, it also comes in a nice selection of colours. You've got your yellow, you've got blue, you've got the grey, you've also got the Pokemon Zamazenta and Zacian edition, and I believe you've got a new salmon pink colour, which actually looks really cool. That's coming out soon if it's not out already. That looks really cool. So you get a lot more colour choices with this, and actually there's a bigger skinning community, so it's a lot easier to buy skins for the Switch Lite and to skin it and customise it than it is for the original Switch. You can actually find a lot of cool skins for this, and you can make it look like a Super Nintendo Switch, a Game Boy Switch, or you could just skin it with a lot of cool textures and stuff. There's a lot of cool skins for the Switch Lite. Now, I think the Switch Lite is the perfect portable, pocketable handheld, and it reminds me of my time growing up playing the Game Boy, the DS, the 3DS, and not only having all my favourite handheld games, but having a full library of console quality games like Assassin's Creed, Skyrim, The Witcher 3 runs on this thing, Dragon Quest, which I love, and Breath of the Wild, Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's just really great. But it also has a lot of the tried and tested portable games. It has a lot of games like Super Mario Brothers, it's got Smash on here, you've got a lot of retro console games, you've got Super Nintendo, etc. on here, and you've got hundreds and hundreds of amazing indie games. Now, I think the best console you can buy to play indie games on is the Nintendo Switch Lite, without a doubt. And the size and feel of the Switch Lite is just great. It's my go-to Nintendo Switch. It's my go-to console, quite honestly. And I don't see myself going back to the original Switch anytime soon. The Switch Lite is my favourite one, and I think you should get a Switch Lite too if you don't have a Switch yet. So guys, with all that said, thank you for watching. I really recommend the Switch Lite. I just love this thing to bits. Smash that like button if you like this video. Smash it if you like the Nintendo Switch. And also, regardless of which one you have, subscribe for more cool videos. And let me know down below in the comments what Nintendo Switch do you have, which one you prefer. And also check out the poll on my community tab on the channel where I ask you guys to vote on which Switch you prefer. So guys, thank you for watching. It is Blaze2k. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.